Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric, and happy Thanksgiving to those of you who are celebrating it this weekend. For those of you not in the United States, you may not realize or know that we celebrate Thanksgiving on the fourth Thursday of November. And that means sometimes it falls at the very end of the month, and sometimes we have a good few days before December arrives. Of course, according to my daughter, who has now had the opportunity to live in a few other countries, I think most people know when U.S. Thanksgiving is, mainly because it's the day, it's traditionally the day before Black Friday. And from what I understand, that has been one of our U.S. exports. I'm not sure it's something we should be proud of, but there you have it. But speaking of Thanksgiving, in years past, it has been the day, the weekend, that my family and I have put up our Christmas decorations. And for those of you who watched Vlogmas last year with me, you will know I have a lot of Christmas decorations. I've reached the point in which I don't actually get all of them out every year. And this year, because I am getting ready for Vlogmas again, I honestly haven't even considered much of what I'm going to be getting out. But before I talk about Vlogmas again this year, give the update as to where I'm at and when that, what we're going to be doing, in case you missed the last video, I wanted to share one of the things I decided to do for this Christmas. I have a lot of red and green themed Christmas decorations. I have a lot of very whimsical Christmas decorations, and I love them all dearly. But when my husband and I, when we first met, our first Christmas, on an extraordinarily tiny budget, and without the massive collection of Christmas ornaments that we have accumulated over the years as we have either purchased or made Christmas ornaments for each other, he and I, we went out and bought a small imitation tree, and we bought one little package of tiny blue baubles. And we took them home with some glue and some glitter and some ribbon. And he and I sat down and we decorated that little box of blue baubles. And that is what we used as the basis of our first Christmas tree together. Of course, over the years, we have not only accumulated ornaments of our own, but we've also inherited a lot of ornaments that belong to our parents and, in some cases, our grandparents. So our trees, let's go plural, have become abundantly filled. And I have a large tree that is where the bulk of the Christmas ornaments go. But I also have a small tree that harkens back to that first Christmas tree my husband and I had together. And on it is where we put all of the very delicate and the small ornaments, the ones that would kind of get lost or even damaged in the big tree. So over the years, as I said, we've accumulated all of these ornaments and all of these decorations, and the blue baubles of our first Christmas have all but been retired, set aside. We always put one or two on the tree to remind us of that first Christmas together. Well, this year, knowing that I needed to do some rearranging of my two Christmas trees that I did put ornaments on, I decided to go ahead and get a bigger small Christmas tree so that it would have a little more room. Because while my big Christmas tree does have a lot of space now because I've packed up some of my children's ornaments for them to take away when they eventually need them, The small Christmas tree was just overflowing with the tiny stuff, the delicate stuff, and some of the handmade stuff that we like to highlight on the small tree. So I purchased a mid-size Christmas tree to take my smaller Christmas tree's place. And next week, you should see right here where my littlest Christmas tree is going to be. Now, let me throw a caveat out there. I have littler Christmas trees. I have the Christmas tree that was in the other room that I was recording. Yes, when I say littlest, I mean littlest big Christmas trees. Because over the years, yes, we've gotten the little ones, the table toppers and things like that for the kids to have in their room. We really enjoyed Christmas, and my husband groans. But we enjoyed them, and I haven't disposed of them, haven't passed them on, because I know eventually my kids will take some of this stuff from my house. But going back to that little tree that will be here next week when Vlogmas videos start, I kind of tossed around what I wanted to do, and I'd never made a real dedicated tree skirt for that tree. So, talking to my husband, looking at my embroidery designs, throwing around some ideas, I decided to make, I decided to make a Delft inspired Christmas tree skirt. And there's something on it there. There's two things about this Christmas tree skirt that I wanted to share. So the first, and I may have shown it in the last video, I honestly can't remember. There! It's Delft inspired. Each of the rounds are Delft inspired. And that blue and white Delft pattern on the Delft pottery, the Delft ceramic pottery, that is something that is special to my husband and I, because his mom collected Delft, and he had the opportunity to purchase some for her before she passed away that was Christmas ornaments, little Dutch shoes in Delft, and I think we have a Delft bell. And so this year, having had this design and wanting to do it, I made this into the tree skirt for the small Christmas tree. So I'm sharing this now because when we come to Vlogmas, we won't be talking about tree skirts, and more importantly, it's going to be under the tree, so I won't be able to show it to you. I have posted pictures of it on my social media channels somewhere, but I made this, I started making this and showed my husband, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. And he reminded me he's always loved blue Christmas decorations. So, since I was doing blue and that, I'd say blue and white, but it's actually ivory. Since I was doing blue and white Christmas tree, I thought I would decorate the tree with some blue and white ornaments. So when you watch Vlogmas next week, start watching Vlogmas, look on the tree, and you will see a whole bunch of little freestanding lace, blue and white decorations I made specifically to go along with that tree skirt. But why stop there, right? I started pulling out my blue and white fabrics, and I decided, well, okay, I have the Nativity in Delft, blue and white on my tree skirt. I had some Nativity blue and white fabric from years ago, just remnants really at this point, but a little bit left. And so I decided I would make some table decorations. Let me turn that so you can see. So very simple blue and white design. And this is one of my sample tests that I wanted to do, because Designs by Creative Kiwi had this wonderful, and I really did want to make it, Hexagon table topper that I wanted to try. So, using that blue and the white Nativity fabric, let's see if I can, there we go, blue and white fabric, I made this table topper. And that design right in the center is one that I created to have the letter H entwine for our last name. So, with a table topper, of course, going blue and white for my Christmas table this year, I needed some, besides just little pot holders, or I should say little, yeah, to hold, you know, or mug rugs. I decided I was going to make placemats. Now, when I made this, the pattern just had us put this light blue over the top of the background, over the fabric. But as a quilter, I know that you can cut away and place the fabric down and save that fabric that's underneath. There was no need for the extra layer of fabric. So, rather than just placing this blue on top when it was time, I actually trimmed away the inside of each of those hexagons and saved them for my placemats. And that table topper, of course, has 7 pieces. So that means I have 7 placemats. I had enough fabric. Now, you notice I had to bring in this snow fabric in order for me to have enough fabric at this point to do it. But it highlights all of the little nativity travelers, and it uses the same thing, same fabrics. And this is the only one that's not yet quilted. So it will be quilted for December, and I'll be able to change out the table decor to a blue and white theme. But I've just done some, let me put it over here. I've just done some simple quilting, 1/4 inch inside, 1/4 inch inside all the seams, and I have 7 of them, which means I could feed an army. Well, maybe not an army, but many more people than what normally gets fed in this house these days. So that is one of the things I've been working on as I've been getting ready for Vlogmas, as I've been getting ready for December, and I wanted to share that with you. But over here you'll notice I finally started plying. I finally started plying that Shetland that I've been spinning for how many months now, that I was going to spin, or I planned to spin all the way back in Tour de Fleece. I started plying it, and I was intending to ply it 3-ply, which would have made this process much faster. However, I did a sample, and I don't always sample, but this time I really wanted to sample, and I did a sample. And what I discovered is that it really puffs up, it really blooms, and it is, oh, so soft. It does not disappoint on the softness scale. So, with my sample and having taken it over, and here, let me bring it up to the camera, okay? It is fluffy, it is, it's bloomed, this was done very quickly, so its twist is not exactly as, you know, I think the final skein, I'm putting a little more twist in it. But when I got this little sample put together, I realized a 2-ply was going to do what I wanted it to do. I think it would make a beautiful 3-ply. But I still intend to make another capelet out of this. And I realized I really didn't want it to be a thick, fluffy yarn. I wanted it still to be thinner so that it could have a little more drape and be a little more delicate. So, 2-ply it is. That full bobbin there is not even a third of my spinning. So I will be doing some plying over the next few days as well. Fortunately, That's not the wheel that I will be doing Vlogmas on. Vlogmas will probably be done on my Kromsky Minstrel, simply because that way if I want to spin something else, I can use my symphony for other projects through December. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Again, as I said in my last video, Vlogmas this year is a challenge for me to spin every day, but also take time away from the craziness of the holidays and do something fun. Things that I would have done when my kids were home, like make frosted cookies, but not do it in a rush, not do it for an event, not do it for it going somewhere, but do it for my husband and I, do it for our fun. That is the goal. That's what I will be pulling out of the jar of suggestions when I am sitting down to when I'm doing my Vlogmas videos. So I'm really challenging myself to take at least 15 minutes a day to do this Vlogmas spinning and take time each day to do something that is just a breath rather than running around crazy. So, speaking also of that spinning, I thought for sure I'd end up deciding to spin something like CVM. But as it turns out, I had a thin sheep fleece that I have not spun up anything, but I think I did a little sample in Tortafleece 2 years ago maybe. And I loved this fiber. That's what it looks like when it's all opened up. But this fiber, the locks, they are just, they're just lovely. They're soft. They're pretty much next to skin soft, but there's a luster to them, like a longer wool. It's a good, I like this, the lock length. The staple length is a good staple length to spin. It should be relaxing. Because it is a heavier wool than my test sample of Shetland, I decided to go ahead and put aside sections of, instead of 8 ounces, I'm going around 10 to 12 ounces. Sorry, not ounces. Instead of 8 grams, I'm going with 10 to 12 grams in each of the little packaged bundles that I will be choosing from each day of Vlogmas. Sorry. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that many ounces. Yeah, that would have been Spinzilla for an entire month. For those of you that remember Spinzilla, the monster of a spinning competition. Wow, that would have beat even my Spinzilla totals. Sorry. I think I need a nap. Or an apple pie. So, I wanted to show you, I chose Fin Sheep. I'm really looking forward to it. I have all of it dyed, and I have it carded, and it's prepped to go. When I did my last video, I hadn't decided if I was going to do a whole rainbow of colors or to keep it to a color family or how I was going to do it. But I went down after recording and posting my last video. I went down to my fiber, my dye stash, and I discovered I had nearly, well, I had 11 different greens that I could choose from. Yeah. So I thought I would do a color group. So I settled on I was going to do green, yellow, green, and blue. So staying in the same wedge of the color wheel, I knew I would not get mud when I plied my yarns together, my singles together. However, the day of dyeing, the dyeing fiber day, I it had been a few months since I last dyed some fiber, and so I wasn't really sure how much dye I needed for 8 to 10, 12 ounces, not ounces, grams, 8 to 12 grams of fleece fiber. So when I got the whole first batch done, I realized I had some dye that wasn't exhausted. And rather than going and getting a set of blues, I decided to exhaust the dye in the dye bath. So I ended up with 26, I did 11 greens, although 2 of the greens, I didn't realize I had 2 of the exact same color in different dye pots. But I did 11 greens, 2 yellows, and then I did an exhaust of all of those same colors. And that is the fiber that I'll be spinning from. So I will be getting a very lovely variety of greens to welcome in December, welcome in Christmas. And I thought that was kind of a fall into something really beautiful. Because one of the things I have been also gravitating towards this year, in addition to my blue decorations, is I've been thinking about the evergreen. My husband and I found we transplanted a bunch of seedlings that had naturally grown under a big maple tree that we have, and we transplanted them all to see if they would take in an area that we'd like to have a bunch of evergreens. And so far, so good. But I've been thinking a lot about the evergreen and the symbolism of the evergreen, and the fact that my mom's favorite Christmas song was "Oh Christmas Tree." And it was her favorite Christmas song because she used to sit with her great-grandfather, and she would sing the song with him in German. And so I grew up hearing about her talk about her great-grandfather and his German roots, and the fact that he spoke very little English even up to the end of his life, and how much she loved and cherished the memories she had with him. And she knew him for quite some time because she actually took German in high school so that she could speak with him. So I've been thinking about the evergreen. I've been thinking about the song "Oh Christmas Tree" or "Oh Tannenbaum," and I feel like it was just a wonderful kind of accidental fall into a color scheme for me to choose the green family for my Vlogmas 2022 spinning. So I hope that you don't get bored seeing me spin green. I will be posting on my Instagram and Facebook pictures of the fiber in addition to what goes in the vlog. So little by little they'll accumulate there. So you can check there to see the photos. I also have one more thing that I have been working on. Behind me here, you'll see this little tiny quilt. And that says, "Who is bringing the pie?" And in the tiny little lettering below, it said, "Blessed are the pie makers." And I got it into my mind that at this last moment, this last run-up to Vlogmas 2022, that I was going to make myself a set of calendar pages, mini quilt calendar pages. And I'm scrambling to get them all finished, but every day of Vlogmas, I will have behind me a different countdown day, a little mini quilt. And I promise to post those on Instagram and Facebook for all of you who would like to follow along and see those up close in a photo. So I just wanted to tell you again that I think I'm going to wrap this video up. This has gone a lot longer than I planned because I didn't think I had that much to share. But I'm excited. I have gone from being actually a little uncomfortable with the idea of doing a Vlogmas in 2022 to being very excited to do Vlogmas in 2022. I hope that you will join me for a little unwinding with fiber and fabric through the month of December as we work our way down to Christmas Eve, through Christmas and to New Year's. I hope that you will join me. I won't be doing Vlogmas after Christmas Eve, although I do have calendar pages that I am making for after. But I promise to post on Instagram. I promise to share with you a little bit of my unwinding with fiber and fabric. And I hope, I really do hope, that as we embark on December, that we find ourselves filled with the spirit of the holidays. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope that you find your homes and your lives filled with that spirit, not just for one day, but for the whole month of December. Because we certainly can use a little bit more light and a little bit more joy and hopefully a little bit more peace. So, thank you for joining me for this Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric, and I will see you in just a short few days.